Hello and welcome to another episode of the Strategy and Soul podcast. Today we have another guest. I'm so excited to be talking to the CEO and founder, creator, and the mastermind behind Kaasida. Now, Kaasida was founded by Akanksha, who's been in Australia since 2016, but born of Indian heritage, which closely links with the way that her products are now manufactured sustainably in India, handicraft, and then sent over here. So can you talk us through a little bit about why did Shark Tank invest in you? Why did you start your business? And why is sustainability and creating a very unique product important to you? It's a lot of questions, but just let's hear it all.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be here, first of all, and then, share my why. So, why I started, like you said, moved in 2016, and I come from this city in India called Lucknow, and it's known for this beautiful form of handicraft, which I've grown up loving, wearing, gifting. But when I moved here, I sort of saw this massive difference in the way everyone in India knows and loves this form of craft, and in this country where no one knows about it. So I thought to myself, could I do something to honor that form, preserve that form of craft in one way or the other, and get it beyond the borders of India? So that's how Kaasida was the concept of Kaasida came alive. And yeah, in the process of researching about everything that goes down in the textile industry, I realized it just cannot be another fashion brand that's impacting the planet, adding to the waste in the landfill. So it organically became a very sustainable brand in the way we do small batch production, no use of synthetic fabric, very little, as little as possible use of plastic. So yeah, it just came together very well. It was never I don't think I ever started thinking, oh, it has to be a sustainable brand. It just kept falling, everything kept falling in place one after the other. And Shark Tank, I think, invested for two reasons. Firstly, of course, they saw that it is beyond just fashion, because, of course, it's an overcrowded market. So they saw that it's not just about fashion, it's about the story that the brand is bringing to the lives of those who wear those clothes, and the difference it's making to the lives of those who make those clothing. And finally, of course, the sustainability aspect, which is much needed today. Yeah.
But community is another massive driver for the reason why you've created this. And I know even when you hired me as a client, when I first pretty much started my business almost 2 years ago now, we touched on that slightly, where it was like, oh, I have this vision, and you actually are looking to attract leaders of industries and women that are very influential in their own frequency and how they impact the world. So it's not just somebody can buy a clothing and it affects their own life. It's also about them telling the stories of these wares and telling the story of the women that manufacture them. So tell me more about your desire to build this community and how that is looking for you now.
Yeah. Yeah, community is so important. And even today, now that the has grown from when we first spoke, even today I get messages from females who buy it, wear it, and they just like talk about how how beautiful they felt, like from the inside, not just when they were opening the package and they saw that little story note that goes with every order. So community is very important, because I want these women to not just obviously keep coming back, but also understand the impact they are creating at a much deeper level. As well, like with Katrina as well, we kind of hit it off on the same. Katrina, my investor, Dr. Katrina Wallace, we hit it off because she and I both care for the same thing, for community, for women empowerment, for sustainability. And of course, we love fashion as well. So yeah, definitely community building is so important for me in my business.
It's beautiful. And what advice or tips do you have for other women in business that are also very ambitious and multi-talented? Like, you've got 10 years experience in marketing. You also came from a CEO background where you were in corporate management and had to deal with a lot of other people implementing strategies and ideas of your own. And so how do women really switch out of that 9 to 5 mentality and bring the why and bring their vision and their passion to life within their business? What does it look like?
Yeah. Oh, that's a really interesting question. Looking back, I think so for me, my business was not my escape from my job. So I think the first thing one should realize is that if you're just trying to escape your 9 to 5, I don't know if it's a sustainable process, because when it gets hard in the business, then you'd want to probably escape that as well. So business is not an escape. Business is finding what makes you happy and then kind of facing all aspects of it. Like there'll be bad days, there'll be good days, there'll be very bad days, but it all comes as a package when you find your purpose. So for me, while I really love, and I still do, my 9 to 5, which is marketing, makes me happy what I do. I kind of knew that there is something I want to build from scratch for my own self, and then make it bigger than myself one day to give back to the community. So whether or not in one way or the other you want to give back to the community, you just need to first find what, like, what makes you happy, and can you make a business out of it? Because for me, in the beginning, I just wanted to do it as a side hustle and not think too much of it. We'll see where it goes. Yeah, so I think not taking ourselves too seriously in the beginning, not putting too much pressure on ourselves. Just say that, hey, by the way, I love making these crunchies, or I love designing these products, or I love working with this community 4 hours every week. Just do it as something that makes you happy. And then eventually you'll start making connections. You'll start finding, paths will start opening up, and it will kind of lead you where you need to go. But in the beginning, it's just pursuing it. Just pursue it. Don't think too much. Take the first step you can.
It's such heartfelt advice. And I think there's that saying, just take messy action. And I'm like, nah, it doesn't have to be like chaotic or messy or stressful or subtracting from your 9 to 5 or potentially creating cash flow issues in your personal life or having, discomfort in that, especially the financial aspect, because that's such a massive part of business ownership. People are like, oh, I'm just going to do this thing. And then you're like, oh, okay, that's actually going to cost me thousands of dollars. So having that backing is really important, like especially for startups. And I love that you've touched on all of those points. And I think for me, like finding my passion was really about, I basically created a non-monetized community because community is huge for me as well. And then that got hacked and I realized, oh, maybe I'm kind of out of alignment. And so I'm a huge advocate for taking aligned action. And I love that you say, yes, be happy in what you're doing, because that's when things feel like they're just so much more easy. And
Yeah.
so going deeper into that, like how does it show up in your mindset when you have those rough days, and what are some tools and tactics that you use to ease yourself back into the trust and
Yeah.
knowing and reminding yourself about the why and staying passionate to the purpose? Like how does that eventuate for you?
So first, I think is to realize that like no one's expecting us to do this. So, there's no pressure. So the biggest, it seems like something really, really small, but I think there was like this whole pressure lift off when I said, no one's asking me to do it. There's no pressure. I'm not in a race where I have to come first or prove something to myself. So let's just take it easy. And then eventually realizing, because in the beginning I was also in that mindset that, oh, I've been in the business for 6 months, in 1 year, why am I not doing as well as she is or he is? But it's your own. I know it sounds fluff, but it can't be truer. It's your own journey. They don't know what's going on in your business. You don't know what's going on in your business. So first of all, it's important to just let go of all the pressure we put on ourselves, that this is the timeline. In 2 years time, the business should be making this much. Just take, like you said, the first aligned, inspired action, and then the next step from there, the next step from there. There is absolutely no rush. Contrary to what we've been taught, that there are timelines. If you have to make $100,000 a month before you turn 30. I think it's just something we put on ourselves, all these pressures and deadlines. So for me, I think the biggest mindset shift was it's okay if it doesn't work out. I'm going to give it my best shot. If I live every day with, oh my God, if it doesn't work out, what am I going to do? I'm not going to be able to survive in business, because today I have smaller problems. But when the big business gets really big, I will have the same problems, but they'll be much, much more complex. So if I can't handle the business at this stage, when it is a side hustle, so to speak. So, how am I going to handle all the pressure that comes with a much bigger business? So, I let go of all the pressure and I said, I'm just going to do the best I can today and we'll see where it goes. What's the worst that's going to happen? We'll just close it down. I know it's so scary when you say it out loud. I didn't want to say it for the longest time to myself. But then the day I said it, I was like, oh, that's it, we said it. If it's not going to work, we close it down, but let's just give it our best shot. So that mindset shift with the pressure we put, like when I speak to ladies in these networking sessions, I realize so many of us put so much pressure on ourselves to say, oh yeah, I started this, it's not going anywhere, there are no sales and this and that. I mean, just start celebrating small wins. One person bought, celebrate that. Like someone decided to take their wallet out and spend their money on something you created. You made the first, I don't know, $500 in your business, $5,000, start celebrating it. And I think, yeah, not many people believe in that, but I'd say, yes, action is important, but mindset is even more. You can keep
Mm.
putting hard work every single day of your life, but you won't end up anywhere if your mindset's not right. You switch the mindset, reduce all the amount of work you're putting, you'll reach to your goal much faster, but it also will feel much more effortless. So yeah, I don't know if it answers your question, but this is what
It's
I
so
realized.
perfect. Yes, because a lot of the things you're saying is stuff I speak into, and I use words like self-responsibility, because self-responsibility is where we first realize and then we decide, and it's exactly what you're saying. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's telling you, and they're not forcing you. They're not literally going to say, I'm going to harm you if you don't succeed. But why are we doing that to ourselves? So then again, taking responsibility for this passion now, reason why, and how, if we genuinely want to help and we actually are saying, oh, I just want to create community, I just want to help the world. But then on the other side of it, we're like, and I have to have this or this or this or this or this. And then that means that it fails if I don't have that thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so where did all of these rules come from? And you talked a little bit about comparison mindset as well, and looking outside of yourself for evidence that what you're doing is good enough.
Hmm.
And if you can go to bed every day, like how great does it feel when you go to bed and say, I did my best today?
Yeah. That's all you.
Even if it wasn't like the best as the one before that, or the best as the month before that, or it's not going to be as good as the one after that. The
Yeah.
only thing that really truly exists is us right now, in this
Yeah.
exact present moment. And the same in our business. Why do we think that we're going to be a better, bigger, more amazing, less complicated, and more free version of ourselves when we get to this 50K or 100K month?
Absolutely.
Like, where did that story become? Where
Yeah.
did it start? Where did the catalyst for that pressure and those harsh expectations and often abrasive thought patterns and stories, because they can get quite, that inner critic can be quite loud.
Very, yeah. And one more thing I've realized, it just touching on what you said earlier, when I reach 50K, but we have this thing in our head that when we reach this milestone, life's gonna look very different from it looks exactly the same. Like for me, certain milestones I set for myself, I reached it and I didn't even realize until I looked back and I was like, oh my God, the other day I hit this goal, but it doesn't feel any different. So we just need to the moment we are looking for in the future is no different from the moment right now. So if we just decide to be our best in this moment, that's the best we can do for ourselves. So yeah, we need to stop living in that fantasy world that we build in our head.
This like projected
Yeah.
future. Yeah. And it's great to go there to like manifest things and spend like energetic time marinating in those amazing frequencies. But again, it's still coming back down to, so what action are you actually going to take today, right now, that
Yeah.
supports that story. And the
Yeah.
other thing that you spoke about, which I don't even know sometimes when I speak to guests and I haven't chat with you for like a long time, I was like, oh man, what you were speaking into was fear setting. And
Mm.
fear setting is when you can neutralize your fears and your doubts or your worries by speaking them out loud
Yeah.
and then making a strategic plan so
Yeah.
that you have a plan. You've got a goal set aside. And so that's a really amazing tip that Akanksha has just shared. If you have a fear, and one of hers was if it doesn't work out. So we can use this as a hypothetical example, and you may find your own. But what we do is we can map out that fear and say, oh, okay, if I had that fear, what are the top 3 things that I would do in this instance if that actually came true? If that was actually a part of my story right now, what would I do? And you'll notice that as soon as you decide that, and as soon as you know exactly what you would do, then things will just flow and you'll neutralize that fear and that frequency of worry and doubt and anxiety that's inside of us when we're believing those stories. And I'll quickly share this as well on the opposite side of it. When you do success setting, some people are actually more afraid of being successful because it's going to impact their family, because they have to share their resources, because they don't know who they're going to be. So I would love to ask you a question around identity.
Mm.
And it seems like you're very settled in how things are flowing for you right now. But when you shifted into that identity, do you believe there was a moment that you decided before that, like, this is success to me, and waking up and going for my walk or buying this coffee or spending my day doing this particular thing, like guesting on podcasts, mentoring in your
Mm.
industry? Are those things that you pre-decided and said, well, actually, this is the simplified success, as opposed to the complex, it has to be these or I'm not successful?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because when I started doing these things, I didn't realize what I was doing until earlier this year. I joined a program, and the first module they spoke about is your future self, and would you embody that future self uh, today to become that person tomorrow. And one of the things they talked about is, what is this future self which is more successful, or which the future self that has everything you want? What do they do when they wake up, from like the moment they open their eyes to the moment they go back into to bed? And it just kind of like flashed before my eyes, and I realized so much gap in between how I was spending my time and how they would. um, and so then I started taking small steps to align my current self with the future self, like small habits that were borderline toxic, like, spending too much,
Mhm.
like the doom scrolling or whatever they call it, doom. Just 3 hours later, you are not just like you've lost 3 important hours of your life, but you've also now, like, anyway, that's a different topic altogether. But there's
Yeah,
like,
but it's kind of like reinforcing all of those bad stories
yeah,
that we're saying, like comparison and imposter and doubting, and then, oh, if I don't do this enough, then it's not good enough, and all the enoughness.
exactly the thing that you're teaching yourself not to do. Then you present yourself. Then you present social media to yourself, which is kind of like reinforcing the very opposite. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I realized all these things that were like playing a big role in my life and in the way I was thinking about myself, self-worth, business, everything. So I started kind of like moving away from it. So yeah, I agree that success is not something that sits like at a distance where you have to reach. It is like you can embody that person today, and then you start seeing how different you've how do I best put it? You'll start seeing, when you look back, you'll start seeing actually that person was quite different, and I can see why that person didn't have the success I have today, because that person was not ready for it. That person didn't know how to handle it. That person didn't know how to handle, of course, failures or stressful days or challenges in the business, but also didn't know how to handle success. So yeah, I completely 100% believe in being the person that deserves. And I don't say deserve in the sense that you don't deserve everything you want in, as you are today, but in the sense that sometimes things don't come to us because we're not ready for it. So the moment you start shifting, doing those mindset shifts, and just like embodying that person, your future self, you'll start seeing good things will start happening magically, or whatever you want to call it. You'll start aligning yourself to better things in life. So yeah, yeah.
It's perfect. I just love that. You've got so much wisdom to share as well. And it's obvious that you've embodied those things as you've gone along and even seeking that education. So, is there some particular things that you recommend to other CEOs as they're growing their business that you're like, yeah, this is something that really fast tracked me. This is the type of support that if you can seek out, it will benefit you, it will help you. And it can be as simple as, I think what you kind of expressed was just changing your schedule slightly. And like you said, embodying this version. If you know what she's thinking and doing and wearing and saying and who she's hanging around with and all of those things, when you work on your self concept and identity, and you bring that into your present moment and start taking those actions. And then furthermore to that, what other things and support can women do to really pull in that success timeline now?
So yeah, I think I've already spoken to you about letting go of the pressure, but also that energy of desperation. It's important to let go of that. Like, I'm doing this because I want like success. You know, don't do that from that place of desperation. Just, I think what helped me, I can share what helped me is earlier this year I decided this is the work I'm going to put in, and then just shut off. Like there has to be clear boundaries between my own life, my personal life, and my business. And what a lot of us start to do is our business becomes our self-worth, our everything. Business succeeds, oh, we are the most successful people in the world. One day there are no sales, and oh my god, we are such failures. So for me it was important to clearly draw that line, that I love Kaasida. It was born out of my passion and purpose, but it's not me, and it can't define me. So first, just know that your business is not you. There is so much you've already achieved, and you will. So a good day or a bad day does not define you. And secondly, yeah, knowing that hard work or slogging is not success. Like, we're like, oh, maybe if we just, given all our time to our business and just like, what do they say, hustle and hustle, success gonna come to us. Yes, we need, in the beginning, we need to put in more hours to establish a successful business. But like you said earlier, no one owes us anything. There isn't a person sitting out there and saying, oh, last week she put 80 hours, so I must buy something from her. No.
Yeah.
We need to know that there has to be a healthy we need to set healthy boundaries. I'm going to do the best I can for 8 hours, and then shut off. And not just shut off in the sense close the laptop, but switch off mentally as well, to say I did the best I could today, and that's where I draw the line. I need to now focus on other aspects of my life. So these two things have really helped me since the start of this year, especially, I'm noticing. And then that somehow magically also is manifesting in terms of sales and revenue in the business. It's like now I'm seeing more traction than I've ever before in the business. Is because, and last year, if you ask me, I was putting so many more hours. I was so much more desperate. But yeah, speak to people around you. Community is so important. Last year I was in my own cocoon. I thought, oh, I'm this like really cool CEO person who's just going to sit on her laptop and work. I don't want to go out. I don't want to meet people. They are going to come to me. You just need to know the power of community. Laptop can only get you so far. Get out there, meet people. I have now in this year met more people, made more connections that I have in so many years in Australia, let alone in business. So we need to go out, meet more people, drop our ego around. No, I've been in, like, for me, it was like, oh, I've been in the corporate world for 10 years. I'm not going to go and meet people and ask them if they can give me 10 minutes of their time to stock my products in their boutique. Like, that ego was getting in the way. But then when I let all of that go and I said, I'm just going to go and have conversations and show them. If they say no, it's okay. It's nothing personal. So yeah, just reinforcing that community is really important. Whichever city you are in, go out, meet other females, see how they can connect you with, oh, I mean, not just females, meet other professionals in the industry, see how they can connect you with the right people. Yeah, I think some things that have been working really well for me.
It's very inspiring because I think there's so much to be said about traditional methods of marketing. And a lot of people get in this trap of it has to be ads, it has to be online. If it's not in everybody's face, for example, I didn't post 3 times today, so I'm not worthy of the sale. And guess what? If you believe that, it will be true. And then
Absolutely.
you won't see the sales. So I love how you're in an energy led business. Your soul is literally leading the way, and these energetic foundations that you're setting up for yourself are actually then manifesting into the strategy. And that is, and the money as well, it's a natural byproduct of just being in full giving. Like, I'm giving to my community, I'm going to give this information. And it is a disservice in some ways to our businesses when we want to withhold and we want to retract and we're going to hide our information and we're going to wait for other people to come to us. But the louder and prouder we can be about our products, about
Yeah.
our services, and it's proof in the pudding. You've
Yeah.
literally just showcased how, when you work on your mindset and your energy and you work on detaching from
Yeah.
this fantasy outcome that you've put this massive expectation and harsh pressure on yourself, step in your heart and say, well, why am I even doing this? Because everything will flow from that one point of why.
Yeah.
And then all the things you've I mean, we could write a book out of this one episode. It's like the mini ebook of Akanksha from Kaasida, and like I'll give you the show notes and then you can just make like a little lead magnet there about how to lead yourself in your why. And anybody that can relate all of this to their personal life as well, their personal goals. It's not just about revenue generation, it's not only about selling products. This is not just about getting more clients in the door, because we're from that get energy. If I do this, then I can get that. And that's not our open heart. That's not the sole reason why we're here to change the world. You're literally changing the world one woman at a time, whether that be in Australia or posting these beautiful products internationally. And also the women in India that are literally feeding their families because they're getting paid correctly for the handiwork that they do to produce this amazing products. I really have a pressing question, and I haven't asked you this in a while, but when you do a small batch, this is so off topic, I'm just going to go there. How many are you stocking in one small batch? Is it 50, 100, 20?
50. Yeah. So one
50.
design only made in 50 units. Yeah.
Forever and ever. And they're very flattering. If anybody wants to check out Kaasida as well, of course, we're going to be putting all of the links in the descriptions. And how can people contact you if they're inspired by what you say, or they want to purchase a product, or get you to write an amazing blog? You seem to have all of these great things to share. I'm so glad you got to be on the podcast.
Yeah, me too. I'm very, yeah, it's been a while since I've spoken open, like in this manner, very, very open heart conversation sort of setup. So it's good. Yeah. Um, so you can find me on my website is kaasida.com. And yeah, I'd love to hear anyone who, who's listening to this episode. If you want to reach out, share your thoughts, I'd love that. So that's hello@kaasida.com. I'm sure Danica will put the email address. And what else? Kaasida underscore is the Instagram. That's where you'll find. As I said earlier, I decided to cut myself off social media because it wasn't doing me any favors. So it's just my business. But yeah, I'm very responsive there. Love to hear from people there. So if someone messages me, I usually respond very quickly.
That's gorgeous. I think there's so much beauty in boundaries, and a lot of people shy away from those boundaries because what happens is it creates space to actually hear what our brains are truly thinking, and we get to step aside and observe these much deeper parts of ourselves that entrepreneurship gives us access to. So I just want to say, I think you're brave. I'm so honored that you've had this vulnerable conversation here, and it's just been a pleasure to reconnect with you in such a deep way as well. It's very amazing when business women can get together and collectively share these experiences. We all have something to grow from and learn from and absorb and reshare, and we take in the information. And I hope that anybody that's inspired by anything we've said can reframe it and regurgitate that back out into your own communities and make an impact, because this is the way that we change the world one woman at a time. And I'm so grateful. Like you said, it's like one person comments or one person spends $5 or $5,000. That's not relative to who I am as a person. I'm just here to show up and serve. So I'm so grateful that there's other women in my community that do the same thing. I'm like, yes, girl, yes. Like, this is so good. I love it. It makes me feel so happy.
Absolutely. Yeah, amazing. I love the conversation. Yeah, it's not every day that you get to talk yeah, from deep within. So loved that we could do this today.
Yeah, well, anytime. And I reckon we'll get some more updates again in like 6 months or something like that when I record again. So thank you for being on the show. If anybody wants to leave reviews or comments, this will be up on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Google, all the places. And yeah, we'll see you next time for Strategy and Soul. Thanks, Akanksha.